Previously, we have revealed the mechanism of earning from $1 million per year. Told how you can trade with the whole world without having access to the ocean, and how our justice system will fight corruption. Chapter 14. Owl. I have lived in Canada for 8 years. When I saw their villages, the question constantly arose in my head: why can't we do it in Kazakhstan as well? So I came back home and came up with village development system. We have designed the village of our dreams, in which we ourselves want to live. We'll lay the following in the project of our village: community center, which will have a conference hall, cinema, fitness, swimming pool, sports sections, hospital with modern medical equipment, schools with a Finnish model of education, kindergartens with a preschool education program, ice hockey rink on synthetic ice, modern comfortable hotels, infrastructure systems and water treatment system. Now the main question is, at whose expense will these objects be built? As you can see, an effective manager makes very good profit, about $1 million per year. We will have 1,200 such effective managers. In Kazakhstan, we want to develop 100 villages. 12 effective managers will live in each village. We ask the state to zero all taxes, but we will have our own social tax, 33%. How will it work? 12 effective managers earn $12 million per year, and from this amount, they invest 33% in the Owl Development Fund. 12 effective managers will manage the fund, and within 10 years, they can build the entire village. Also, in each village will be built feedlots for 10,000 heads of cattle. I have developed an effective management system of the largest livestock population in the world. In our system, we are planning to have 1 million heads of cattle, and they will be fairly distributed among 30,000 employees. But this is not a classic form of ownership. It is similar to the ownership of a stock share. We call it cattle quota. How it will work? TDFA builds 10 feedlots for 10,000 heads of cattle in each village at its own expense. Further, TDFA buys cows from breeders. And then, according to the credit rating and position, will be distributed between the employees of the effective manager and the feedlot, on average 33 cows for each. After fattening and selling livestock by a trading house, a bonus from $100 to $300 per cow is credited to the employee's account, minus 33% of contributions to the Owl Development Fund and insurance premium. All risks associated with the death of livestock will be insured by a non-commercial reserve insurance fund. 1 million cattle in one system, the largest herd in the world. If we ourselves begin to take care of all of them, there will be a lot of theft due to uncontrollable quantity. But if we divide the ownership according to cattle quotas, people will be motivated to raise a healthy, massive cattle. More well-fed, more expensive will be possible to sell. Therefore, no one has the intention of stealing. No one has the thought of not feeding. Our village will have free electricity and free biofuel for cars. How will we achieve this? With the help of this cattle manure processing plant. Considering the huge number of livestock, the Owl Development Funds program includes the purchase of 100 German cattle waste processing plants to provide with free biofuel and electricity. There is an opportunity to receive about 350,000 megawatts of electricity, which will be enough to provide energy to 300,000 people a year. Or we will get 114 million cubic meters of biogas for transport, which will be enough for the annual consumption of 30,000 cars, with the average car mileage of 18,000 kilometers per year. 2 million tons of organic fertilizers will be produced annually for development of organic farming. The listed types of production fully fit into the infrastructure of the village for the proper life level of employees. In our village, we have laid out beautiful two-story houses from SIP panels. SIP technology is a modern technology of construction houses, adapted to Kazakhstan's climatic conditions, which can be built up in 3 weeks. Due to the use of self-supporting insulated wire technology, it becomes cheaper and the average cost of houses ranges from $25,000 to $35,000 per 2,000 square feet. Employees can use the mortgage program for purchasing the house. The mortgage program of Modern Agro-Invest Bank can be used by any employee of the fund's ecosystem with a sufficient credit rating. Note that the risks of devaluation are excluded, since all employees receive wages in dollars or euro. The terms of the program are simple. Financing up to 15 years. Interest rates from 4 to 7% per annum. The house itself will be the collateral. No down payment. The bank also provides a car loan service. Program conditions: financing up to 7 years. Interest rates from 4 to 7% per annum. The collateral will be the cattle quota and the purchased car. No down payment. To reduce the cost of vehicle, TDFA concludes direct contracts with such giants of the automotive industry as Toyota, GMC, Ford, for the purchase of farm pickups with installation of factory equipment for driving on biogas. Chapter 15: World Food Bank. We will store food for the whole world. To understand the idea that can feed 500 million people, let's look at what the food security of countries is. Any country keeps in food reserve for a year or more to use on a state of emergency, such as a pandemic. When the state of emergency occurs, the system pays back itself economically. But in the absence of the state of emergency, it is extremely costly and unprofitable for the government budget. But our model will radically change the situation. How does the food security system of countries work? For example, Saudi Arabia. In peacetime, they buy wheat for the reserve fund at world exchange prices. Logistics cost a lot of money and the product deteriorates during long storage. Therefore, if an emergency does not occur, they must sell food with a large discount of at least 50%. Thereby incurring a loss to the country's budget. The larger the reserve, the greater the loss. To solve this problem, we propose to build 250 elevators in Kazakhstan to store 50 million tons of various crops. Grain importing countries will have 100% of ownership. It is like a deposit bank box. Moreover, they are protected. They will be located in special zones in which the government of Kazakhstan cannot prohibit the export and transit of food. Basically, elevators will have a special status. At the request of countries, the food bank will renew the grain stock at the elevators. The previous grain will be sold by the trading house, and the grain from the new harvest will refresh the reserves. Each country will have its own access to the fund's SAP online system, where they will be able to view volume, moisture level, crop types, world quotes, and, in addition, buy and sell grain through their own account. If the country does not want to engage in trading, and it is not interested in the payback of the elevator's cost, then it is possible to refresh the stored grain once every 2 years. The cost of updating will be 3% of the total storage volume, and this will reduce the cost of food security of the country by 8 times. Chapter 16. Africa.
Our system will be able to help other countries too.
The main mission of the program is to eliminate hunger in Kazakhstan and African countries. Due to hunger, every day 22,000 people die in the world, which is 8 million per year. This is the population of Switzerland. Therefore, due to the global coronavirus pandemic, this number grows. In the 30s of the last century, Kazakhstan experienced a terrible disaster, a great hunger that took the lives of millions of people. So we know from our grandparents what terrible grief it is. We must do everything to ensure that a tragedy like this does not affect anyone else. And for this, 1/10 of the fund's profit will be sent in the form of humanitarian aid to people in need in Kazakhstan and African continent. According to Maslow's pyramid, if the basic human needs for food and safety are covered, he will strive for community and spirituality. Therefore, in Africa, in addition to eradicating hunger, we want to promote the philosophy of Ubuntu, which originated on this continent. Ubuntu calls for humanity, justice, and selflessness, and from the Zulu language it translates as, "I live because we live." How to become an effective manager? First of all, a person must be a citizen of Kazakhstan. Since 5 million people aged 21 to 35 live in Kazakhstan, we will choose 1,200 best among them. We will adhere to gender equality, accept both men and women. 1,200 effective managers should not be relatives among themselves. If we identify close relatives, one of them should lead the system. Selection will be made according to the principles of justice, hard work, developed logic, and psychological stability. After the selection of effective managers, they will be hiring employees for themselves. But before that, all effective managers' employees must undergo free training at our university. Several global institutional investors are ready to cooperate, and as soon as we sign an agreement with the government, we will announce the recruitment of effective managers. You can follow the news on our official sources. TDFA KZ. Manifesto to the people of Kazakhstan. Dear people of Kazakhstan, the pandemic is currently raging, which has taken the lives of many of our fellow citizens, to which we express our deep condolences. However, another disaster is coming. This is a severe economic crisis, which is also merciless and ruthless like a coronavirus pandemic. So we believe that only by uniting we can defend this crisis. As the great Abai said, "Еңбек етсең еренбей, тояды қарның тіленбей," which translates that labor will lead a person to satiety. Thus, we do not offer you an instant profit. We offer hard work. So, this hard work will lead thousands of young people to wealth. Hard work will fulfill the dreams of our ancestors about a bright future. Finally, hard work will lead the country out of the economic crisis. Therefore, let's work hard, roll up our sleeves, so we will build our bright future ourselves. Manifesto to the Government of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Dear Government of Kazakhstan, as it has been said, This project will lead to an impressive multiplier effect that will lead the country out of the crisis. Since the multiplier effect of the agricultural industry is higher than the crude oil and coal mining industries, this program will exceed the oil boom of the early 2000s. What our words are based on? Refusal from subsidies. Because the direct government subsidies are equal to the amount of $1 billion per year, so we refuse from them. Banks will instantly receive a large profit, as billions of dollars in provisions will be disclosed from hopeless projects of the agri-industrial complex. The debts of the latifundia, which were previously hopeless and irrecoverable, will begin to be paid back to the government. 100 schools, 100 hospitals, 100 kindergartens will be built in the villages. As people will begin to move from cities to villages, the villages will start developing and improving. The food security of the country will be strengthened. The level of poverty will decrease. The money will actually come to real people because a lot of jobs will be created with wages at the level of Canadian and American agri companies. Kazakhstan will move to the leading positions of exporting countries in the world ranking of agricultural products. Under the World Food Bank project, Kazakhstan will become a Switzerland in food and agriculture industry. The illiteracy rate will decrease. The country will attract foreign investments in the amount of $13 billion. So large construction projects will begin, where the people of Kazakhstan will be involved. 48% of the population that lives in the villages will have a decrease in social tension and an increase in their standard of living. According to the conclusion of the transnational legal company Siemens & Siemens, our transaction for the purchase of seeds in Canada was completely legal. All the rules and procedures of the international agreement of the WTO TRIPS were observed during the transaction. We sent letters to the Canadian Prime Minister and Minister of Agriculture of Canada, as well as to all patent holders, seed breeders and developers that were ready to pay royalties and cooperate. Moreover, based on the results of the study of our project by the international auditor Deloitte, we received a conclusion confirming that our model is an effective scenario for the recovery of the agri-industrial complex and the solution for the country to exit from the economic crisis. Our project will give impetus to the development of the manufacturing industry, which will allow the production of products with higher added value and will create new jobs. There are 3 conditions for this: free economic zone without taxes, 1,200 domestic investors with a combined income of over $1 billion, availability of raw materials base. What do we ask in return? Establishment of a free economic zone on the territory of 5 million hectares with a stabilization of laws for 30 years. Exemption on the territory of the free economic zone from all existing taxes for 15 years. The rationale for zeroing taxes is the fact that according to the Ministry of Finance, in 2019, the state budget expenditures on agriculture amounted to about $1.5 billion. However, the collected taxes in agri-industrial complex are around $100 million. Only in 2012-2018, the total amount of funds allocated for the development of agriculture industry exceeded $12 billion, which did not lead to any noticeable increase in efficiency of land cultivation and an increase of standard of living in villages. Exclusion of laws within the free economic zone that prevent accelerated development. Establish the Agency for Land Relations. Arrange the issue of land from the fund of the problem loans, cleared from all obligated contributions. Lands must be issued to effective managers in installments for a period of 3 to 7 years, with 5,000 hectares each. Develop a law on the transfer of land to the ownership of an effective manager who is a citizen of Kazakhstan after he has paid off his obligations. we consider the development of the above law to be fair, since the citizen has paid off the debt of the past owner and has every right to own land and transfer it to his descendants. However, one condition needs to be considered, which must be necessarily spelled out in the law. The lands must be sold only to citizens of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Conclude an international agreement between Kazakhstan and the UN FAO on assigning special status to the elevators of the World Food Bank. Dear representatives of the government of the Republic of Kazakhstan, given the current economic situation in the country, we need to unite even more in order to bravely withstand the upcoming global recession. Manifesto to investors. Dear institutional investors, we are building the largest private agricultural company in the world that has the potential to export 1 million head of livestock and 20 million tons of finished products. Due to vertical integration, we have minimized the cost of production. We use the world's most advanced and proven innovations to increase yields and improve the quality of products. With the help of the reserve insurance system, we have minimized the risk of default from natural disasters. With the help of the banking system, every dollar is controlled and goes to its proper destination in the closed ecosystem of the fund. We will achieve transparency through the digitalization of all activities. The credit rating system and anti-corruption will protect your investments from dishonest people. Even considering the high payments of effective managers at the level of Canadian and American farmers, the profitability and attractiveness of the project do not decrease in any way. Just look at the numbers. Base NPV $1.6 billion, IRR 18%, payback 5 years. For the implementation of this project, we need $7 billion. In addition to excellent economic indicators, the project solves 16 of the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. Furthermore, we will allocate a 10th part of the profit of the system in the form of humanitarian aid to the African continent. Recent events in the world have shown that mankind does not need to fly in airplanes so much. Expensive clothes are not so much valuable. Diamonds are not so much important. This is confirmed by the fact that the shares of the producers of these goods have collapsed. And we came to one simple and well-known truth, that humanity cannot survive without food, and food will always stay in demand. And accordingly, the companies that produce food will withstand all the blows of fate. Manifesto to grain importing countries. Dear importing countries, the coronavirus pandemic has shown that food security is the top priority for all countries. However, it is even unprofitable and serious expenditure part of the budget of any country. Our solution helps you effectively use taxpayers' money. Here are the main advantages of our solution. Since the formation of independent Kazakhstan, our country has never been participating in any armed conflict, has voluntarily renounced nuclear weapons, and has become a peaceful and safe country. The geographical position of the northern Kazakhstan, that located in the middle of the Eurasian continent, provides it with protection from many natural disasters such as floods, earthquakes, typhoons, tsunamis, tornadoes, and volcanic eruptions. The presence of a supranational spatial status of elevators provides a guarantee of unhindered food export. The participating country will save huge budget as well as earning from participation in this project. The presence of a large number of participating countries gives an additional guarantee of the stability of all laws and the absence of conflicts. The cost of the project is $6 billion. Depending on the needs, the countries will share the storages with a total volume of 50 million tons. 50 million tons of grain covers the annual need for 500 million people. As we all know, in 1945, after the end of the Second World War, the United Nations organization was founded, so the Third World War was avoided. And since the United Nations continues to provide us with peace and security, likewise, the current coronavirus pandemic has given us the impetus to create a World Food Bank to prevent hunger on a global scale. There was no starving, there was no poverty.
Good health and well-being, gender equality, decent jobs,
Good education, cheap and clean energy, reduction of social inequality.
clean water,
To innovate, modern villages, rational consumption and production, climate change,
preserving the land ecosystem, justice.
and everything we do is for the sustainable development.
Махаббат қайрат екеулеп шымырлатқан денені көк тудың желбірегені жаныма қуат береді таласқа түссе жан мен ту жан емес маған керегі көк тудың желбірегені жан-жаққа тартпай қазағым бір сөзге жинал дегені көк тудың желбірегені жаныма қуат береді таласқа түссе жан мен ту жан емес маған керегі көк тудың желбірегені қиырда қалған қазақтың көзінің мөлдірегені көк тудың желбірегені жаныма қуат береді таласқа түссе жан мен ту жан емес маған керегі көк тудың желбірегені жан емес маған керегі көк тудың желбірегені